Hello viewers! Today we are going to talk about budgeting for a RunDisney vacation. Now there are many people out there that have run a lot more races than me, but I've run enough to know what works and what doesn't work and how things can be budgeted. So let's go on a run, but actually most of this was not recorded during running because as we started I was like, I don't know if I can do this and talk to them at the same time, because talking by itself is hard enough, and then when you add that to running and trying to breathe and stay alive, it gets a little harder. Okay, here we go. How do you budget? How do you pay for all these RunDisney events? It's a good question, huh? It is. So the costs of RunDisney races, they're pretty much spread out, would you agree?
Yes.
So really, if you plan all this stuff correctly, probably the biggest chunk of change that you're gonna have to put down is race registration, about like 9 to 12 months in advance. So know which race you're gonna do and save up for that. The rest of that, they're in different increments. So like 6 months out, you're gonna wanna reserve your resort.
Key to stay in the resort.
Yes. Assuming you stay at a Disney resort, which you should.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but if you're staying DVC, you probably already know you got to do that like 11 months out, 7 months out, so you can stop watching this video and watch something else on my channel. I like staying at moderate resorts, so about $250 to $300 I'm going to put down for the deposit. If you're going to stay at value, of course it's going to be a little less, and if you're going to stay at the bungalows, it's a little bit more. But depending on your preference, I like the moderates because usually rooming with this guy, I like the 2 sinks, I like the ceiling fan. I tried out a value the last night I was at Disney World last time. I think we'll pass on that. I could hear kids late in the night, and no one got time for that when you're racing. One more thing, use a travel agent. You say, yo, Jar, Ox, and Spoon, I don't know how much travel agent is. It's free. I'll link the travel agent I use down below. And what's great about it is when you need to make a change to your reservation, you don't have to call Disney. Disney cast members on the phone are great, but as a time-saving thing, I just email my travel agent because I like to do a lot of changes, because I'll make a reservation at a value resort and be like, no man, French Quarter, yes. So she can do that really easily, and also take care of the flights, take care of anything else. She'll email every once in a while about like just making sure everything is good. And even this upcoming trip, she's like, I'm gonna be there, it'd be nice to put a face to a name. Be like, cool, yeah, I'll keep sending my money your way. Another thing about using a travel agent, you make that deposit, and then you can make interim payments all throughout. You're waiting until you go to the trip, so you're not saddled with a big bill when you get to Disney World. So that's a helpful thing if you use it properly. And using a travel agent doesn't cost you anything. So that'll help you out, make fast passes, dining reservations. I've even had a reservation made, and then Disney came out with new discounts, and they'll look for discounts that can be applied to my reservation. I got an email like, oh, you saved $100. So I applied this discount, so yeah. And they'll eventually get paid by Disney through commission, but that'll help you out. Finished our run. Jay Crow had an appointment with his wife, so you got me for the rest of the time. Another option for reserving a resort is to rent DVC points, and you can do that as early as 11 months out for resorts such as Saratoga Springs, Old Key West Beach Club, Poly, Grand Floridian, probably other ones. You can probably Google that and find which ones have DVC accommodations, but you can go through a rental business, DVC point rental business, where DVC owners sell their points off so other people can use those accommodations. And I am doing that for the first time for Marathon Week because I looked at pricing, and to stay at Port Orleans French Quarter for 7 nights, almost fell there, for 7 nights was more expensive than staying at Saratoga Springs, a deluxe resort. It was like $400 more to stay at Port Orleans French Quarter. And in comparison, it was only $300 more to spend 7 nights at Saratoga as opposed to Pop Century, which is a value resort. And that was a no-brainer there. The only difference is you got to put up a big chunk of change when you reserve it. Roughly, like I had to put down like $1,000 for the deposit, but that means I only have a little bit, like less than half of that left to pay. Maybe, I think it's 45 days before I arrive. So that's just a little bit of different of splitting up the cost there. But the difference between staying at a value resort and a deluxe resort during a race weekend, especially with me doing dopey, that's pretty huge because the walls at value resorts are thin and I need my sleep because I turn in pretty early on those days. I don't close out the park. That's going to be a pretty good deal. I stayed at Disney World a couple weeks ago, or I guess a month ago. Stayed at a DVC room there and it was great. I've stayed at Saratoga a couple times now and I like it because it's quiet, it's near Disney Springs, and it's a good resort. It's a big resort. I prefer to stay at French Quarter, but it was cheaper to stay at a higher end resort. So the next big chunk of change you're gonna put down is your flight. If you don't live in Florida or some place within driving distance. So what's up with that is getting on the rewards for your airline. I have to fly American because I have to take a regional flight to DFW and DFW to MCO. So paying all of those over the years, I've accumulated enough points to take several trips using points. And also if you have the American Airlines credit card, that kind of helps accumulate points too. But our flights, we pay a little bit more for flights because, like I said, we gotta take 2 flights. But sometimes when you track flights with like something like Kayak, and you see that flights are really cheap. Like I saw that once from here to Anaheim, and it was super cheap. It was like $232 round trip. I jumped on that, but prices aren't budging to Orlando right now, so I'm gonna have to. I still haven't bought my wine and dine flight, so J. Crow has, but I need to do that so it doesn't skyrocket like it did a couple months ago. Now, if you only do one race weekend a year, just buying your park tickets individually, that's fine. But if you're like us who go to Disney World / Disneyland 4 or 5 times a year, an annual pass is what you need. Because yeah, you're gonna have to put down a lot of money at once. I retract what I said about your biggest chunk of change is going to be your race registration, because if you buy an annual pass, that's $1,000 at least right there. I counted up how many days I've been at a Disney park with my last annual pass. My annual pass expires while I'm at Disney World next time, but I have a Premier pass which gets me to Disneyland and Disney World, and I think that calendar year I had spent maybe like 45 days in a Disney park, so it might be a little bit more than I counted, but it's around 40, 45, something like that. So it really gets its money's worth. Not so much now. I'm probably not going to do Premier because it's an extra $1,000 to do Disneyland, and I don't think I will make that $1,000 worth doing a Disneyland trip, like one Disneyland trip, unless they bring races back. Then I'm gonna have to get another job in addition to what I have. Also, what an annual pass does, you get discounts. When you go to those race expos, you get 20% off your stuff. So that's always helpful. It's always nice to know that you see that price there and that's not the price you're gonna pay. And also you get discounts at table serve restaurants, at least 10%. Sometimes they bump it up to 20. But if you always want 20%, even adult beverages, and you're an annual pass holder, get Tables in Wonderland. That thing already paid for itself my last trip. Having a party of 6, yeah, it's gonna knock it's nice seeing like, oh, here's your bill. Oh, there's $75 knocked off of it because of Tables in Wonderland. So that paid for itself easily. So, and I'll have that for another year. So that's gonna save me a lot of money because I frequent the table serve / signature restaurants. If you have a birthday near Disney trip, an anniversary, Christmas, any other holiday or landmark event, and people say, what do you want for this occasion? Say I want Disney gift cards. That's kind of an obvious thing, but the more you can accumulate, the better your trip will be. So that's one way. And also, if you have a Sam's Club membership, you can buy like a 3-pack of $50 gift cards for like $144. So you save like $5 and something cents. Or you can go to Target and use your Target Red card. I have a Target Red card debit. So it just connects to your debit card. And you can pay 5% less on Disney gift cards. So there's a little money saving thing right there. And if you have the Chase Disney Visa credit card, and you use that to pay for your Disney expenses, you can get up to 2% cash back in the form of a Disney card. And then I accumulated enough of that where you can either have it mailed to you, but I was at Disney Springs and went to that little house place and got the card right there, preloaded with however many points I had, and then you can use that as a gift card. So the more you spend, the more you get back. So that's another way to get a little bit of dough back by using your Disney purchases with that card, using it responsibly, right? Another money saving tip is to use Amazon Prime now and have your goods delivered to your room. What I always get is a case of bottled water, because if you have a couple of those in your backpack during the day, you're going to save like 10 bucks, especially during a festival like Food and Wine or Flower and Garden. You're going to want to eat all that stuff, and if you get a drink every time, a bottled water is running about like $3.50 at Disney World, and you can get a whole case of that for not much more than that. So I always carry a couple in my bag so I don't have to pay for drinks in the park. And also, you can get your morning running snacks like bagels and coconut water or milk, anything like that, just to have it in your room, because it'll save money on breakfast, on snacks. So you won't have to rely on just eating park food. My eating habits during race weekends are different than normal. Like a meal plan would not work for me during a race weekend because your eating habits are different, and it kind of forces you to eat. Like you don't really want to eat and you don't want to be overstuffed. Save you money just having food shipped to your room, especially if you're in a DVC resort. Probably have a kitchen. Not if you're in a studio, but you'll have a kitchen. You can cook your own breakfast there if you want. But if you need Mickey waffles, you'll get your Mickey waffles. So there you have it. Disney trips can be expensive, but there are ways to kind of make it not feel so expensive, with the costs so spread out and little things here and there that you can kind of alter the cost, shift some costs, save some money here and there. So it doesn't feel like you're paying a buttload of money every time you go there, even though that's probably true. So, like I always say, like, subscribe, tell your mom about this so she can give you gift cards for your birthday so you can go to Disney World.